Some flowers resemble female insects so closely that males approach them by mistake. Others look like birds frozen in flight, monkey faces hidden among petals, or dark bats spreading their wings beneath the forest canopy. A few go even further, using movement, scent, texture, and shape to guide pollinators exactly where they need them. Yet not every animal-like flower is a true mimic. Sometimes evolution is copying a signal an insect understands. Other times, the human brain is simply finding a familiar creature inside an unusual bloom. The clearest example begins with a flower that swings like a mechanical trap. The Hammer Orchid does not wait passively for a visitor. Its flower carries an insect-like petal shaped to resemble a female wasp, while hidden chemical signals copy the scent that attracts a searching male. Drawn closer, the wasp lands and tries to grasp what it believes is a mate. That mistake activates a hinged part of the flower. In one smooth motion, the petal swings the insect upward and presses it against the orchid's pollen. When the wasp leaves and repeats the same mistake elsewhere, it carries that pollen to another flower. For the flower, that confusion becomes survival itself. Nothing here is planned or conscious. Over generations, orchids with shapes, scents, and movements that attracted more wasps reproduce more successfully. The result is a quiet biological machine, precise enough to turn courtship into pollination. Yet the next orchid achieves a similar illusion without swinging, snapping, or moving at all. The bee orchid creates its illusion without any moving parts. Its lower petal resembles a female bee resting on the flower, complete with a rounded body, surface, dark colors, and reflective markings that catch the light like an insect's wings. In some species, the disguise also includes chemical signals similar to the scents released by female insects. A searching male may approach because the flower appears to offer a mating opportunity. As it lands and presses against the bloom, pollen can attach to its body and travel to another orchid. The flower is not making a decision. Generations of plants with more convincing signals simply reproduced more successfully. Not every bee orchid depends completely on this deception. In some populations, especially where the pollinator is missing, the flowers can pollinate themselves. But even without movement, the resemblance remains striking. The next orchid narrows that insect-like shape into a slimmer silhouette. In a quiet grassland, the fly orchid can be easy to miss. Its dark, narrow flower appears like a tiny insect resting along a green stem, waiting so still that the illusion only becomes clear when you look closely. To human eyes, the resemblance may seem rough, but the pollinator notices a more precise combination of position, color, surface, shape, and scent. Evolution does not need to produce a perfect copy for people. It only needs to recreate the signals that matter to the insect being attracted. A particular shine, a familiar outline, or the right chemical scent may be enough to draw a male close. When it lands and struggles against the flower, pollen can attach to its body and travel onward through grasses. The fly orchid creates one convincing insect-shaped bloom. The next plant pushes the illusion further, placing several false flies across the surfaces of its petals. Across the petals of Gorderia diffusa, dark ray shapes appear to rest in sunlight. At first, they look like small female flies scattered across the orange surface, catching light along their edges. But none of them are insects. The illusion is more complex than a painted spot. The markings have raised texture, deep coloring, bright highlights, and a three-dimensional form placed where a visiting fly is likely to notice it. Male flies may approach, land, and interact with these false bodies as though they have found a possible mate. During that confusion, they brush against the flower and help move pollen. This South African daisy is one of the clearest examples of sexual deception outside the orchid family. It does not need wings, movement, or a hidden trap. Several convincing false flies are enough. The next flower abandons insects entirely and takes the shape of a tiny bird in flight. The flying duck orchid looks as though a tiny bird has been caught in the middle of flight. Its flower forms a duck-like head, a narrow body, and swept-back shapes that resemble wings, all colored in deep reddish tones. Because the bloom is so small, the illusion feels almost like a hidden joke waiting beside the forest floor. Yet the name reflects what people see, not what the flower is trying to attract. Its real visitors are insects. When one lands in the right place, part of the flower can shift and temporarily guide the insect against the pollen structures. The visitor is then released, carrying pollen away to another bloom. So the orchid resembles a duck to us while functioning as an insect pollination device. Nearby, another orchid replaces this playful silhouette with a hooded chamber that briefly controls the route its visitor must take through its enclosed flower. Greenhood orchids hide their working parts inside an enclosed, helmet-like flower. Certain species attract fungus gnats with visual signals and chemical scents that suggest a suitable mate or shelter. When a gnat enters or lands in the right place, a sensitive structure can shift, briefly closing the easiest way out. The insect is not imprisoned for long. Instead, the flower becomes a carefully shaped passage. To escape, the gnat must move through a narrow route that carries it past the orchid's reproductive structures. Pollen may be pressed onto its body, or pollen from another flower may be deposited during the journey. Nothing chases, bites, or holds the visitor by force. The orchid simply controls the available path. It is a quiet example of a plant directing animal movement. Yet the next flowers may not be deceiving animals at all. Their familiar faces and wings may exist mainly in human imagination. The Monkey-Face Orchid seems to hold a face inside its petals. Dark markings suggest eyes, the central structures form something like a nose and mouth, and the soft edges can resemble fur around a head. Together, these shapes create an image that feels surprisingly familiar. This happens because the human brain constantly searches for faces inside complicated patterns. That instinct, called pareidolia, helps us recognize people quickly, but it can also make flowers, clouds, and stones appear alive. The orchid did not necessarily evolve to attract monkeys or copy a monkey's face. The resemblance matters mostly to human observers. Some related Dracula orchids use different forms of deception involving fungi and insects, but the monkey-like appearance should not be treated as proven mimicry. It is a quiet reminder of how easily the mind can turn petals into a face. Next, an entire flower seems to become a bird in flight. The white egret orchid opens like a small bird caught in a quiet moment of flight. Its fringed white petals spread outward like wings, while a narrow central structure suggests the bird's body. Along the edges, delicate cuts create a soft, feathery texture, giving the flower an elegant shape that seems almost weightless. The resemblance is beautiful, but it does not prove that the orchid evolved specifically to imitate an egret. Human names often come from patterns we recognize, even when the insects that pollinate a flower respond to completely different signals, such as scent, color, or position. Seen among grasses, the bloom feels calm and precise, as though a white bird has paused above the ground nearby. Yet the illusion belongs mostly to the human eye. The next flower replaces this pure white form with brighter colors, a curved shape, and the appearance of a tiny parrot in motion. Viewed from the side, the parrot flower can appear to carry an entire bird within its curved petals. One shape suggests a small head, another bends like a beak, while the surrounding petals seem to form wings, a compact body, and a trailing tail. From the right angle, the resemblance feels surprisingly complete. A photograph can make that illusion even stronger. Careful cropping removes distracting leaves, soft lighting separates the flower's colors, and a simple background allows the bird-like outline to stand alone. Camera angle matters too. A slight shift can make the parrot appear clearer or cause it to disappear. The resemblance is not fake. It is created by the flower's shape, the way the image is framed, and the human brain's habit of finding familiar forms hidden among petals. Together, they produce a tiny flying bird. Next, bright colors fade into one of nature's darkest, most gothic flowers. The black bat flower spreads across the shaded forest like a dark creature holding still beneath leaves. Its broad, deep-colored bracts resemble a bat opening its wings, while long filaments hang below like whiskers surrounding a hidden face. In the tropical understory, where sunlight arrives in narrow patches, the bloom can seem suspended in the air. Despite its name, there is no strong reason to assume the flower evolved specifically to imitate bats. The resemblance is something human eyes create from its shape and color. The wing-like structures are bracts, modified leaves that surround the flowers, while the long strands are slender floral parts extending far below them. The result is gothic rather than frightening, a dark, elegant form shaped by nature and completed by imagination. From this shadowy, mammal-like bloom, the next flower moves towards something pale and peaceful, holding what looks like a white bird at its center. The dove orchid, also called the Holy Ghost orchid, seems to shelter a tiny white bird inside its flower. When viewed directly from the front, the central structure can suggest a rounded head, open wings, a small body, and a peaceful resting pose. The image feels especially clear because the surrounding petals frame the pale shape like a quiet alcove. That resemblance has influenced both the flower's common names and the cultural meanings attached to it. Yet the orchid did not necessarily evolve to copy a dove. The bird-like form is mainly something human observers recognize when separate floral parts align from the right angle. Near the end of the video, this flower offers a softer moment, pale, balanced, and almost dreamlike. But the final plant creates a larger illusion. Instead of hiding a small bird inside one bloom, its entire flower resembles one of the world's most recognizable birds. The bird of paradise flower ends the journey with one of the clearest animal-like shapes in the plant world. Its bright orange and blue colors rise above long pointed petals, while a firm, beak-like structure and raised crest create the outline of a bird's head. From the side, the illusion becomes especially convincing, as though a tropical bird has paused among the leaves. Yet the flower shape is more than decoration. Its strong parts help position visiting birds during pollination, while the colors and angles guide them toward nectar. At the same time, human eyes arrange those same structures into a familiar animal form. The plant does not see a bird or consciously design a disguise. Evolution simply preserves shapes that help reproduction, and people discover resemblance within them. That idea connects every example we have seen, leading naturally to one final question. When does resemblance become true biological mimicry? Plants can appear to become animals in three ways. Some deceive insects with copied shapes, scents, textures, or signals. Others use moving structures and narrow passages to guide or trap pollinators. A third group forms patterns that the human brain turns into birds, bats, monkeys, or faces. None of this requires thought or intention. Small variations that improve reproduction can continue across generations, while human perception adds its own creatures to petals and shadows. Plants may seem motionless, yet they are constantly communicating with life around them. Next, fungi take that conversation somewhere darker, invading insects and controlling their hosts.